We stand at a singular moment in church history, one rooted in ancient tradition, the other tentatively steeped in the digital age, sanctified by sneakers and servers. I refer, of course, to the postponed canonization of Carlos Acutis, the God's influencer, and the unexpected convergence of his story with another revival, a potential papal pilgrimage to Nicaea, which I have no doubt will be the first in the calendar of the person who is elected as the new pope after the conclave. Carlos Acutis was born in 1991 and died in 2006. He wasn't a monk, a martyr, or a mystic in the traditional sense. He was a teenager in trainers who coded catechesis into websites and sanctified cyberspace before Silicon Valley had the faintest sense of sacrament. At 15, Acutis died of leukemia, leaving behind a digital catalogue of Eucharistic miracles and a global trail of conversions inspired by his cheerful asceticism. Pope Francis, ever eager to elevate saints whose lives speak the language of youth and the internet, approved Carlos' canonization for April the 27th, 2025, aligning it with the Jubilee year of adolescence in Rome, a mass celebration of young Catholic identity in the digital era. And that ceremony, however, has now been postponed following the Pope's death last week, which plunged the Church into the solemn sede vacante period. Canonizations require a living pontiff, both spiritually and literally, to proclaim the final step into sainthood. Thus, even as Carlos' incorrupt body lies serenely displayed in Assisi, his official sainthood now lies in papal limbo. And yet the symbolic potential of his canonization hasn't been lost. In Acutis, there is a figure now in Assisi, the town famous for Francis, after whom the late Pope took his name. In Acutis, the Church found a figure who had bound orthodoxy to online evangelization, Eucharistic devotion to social media literacy. His sanctity is not nostalgic, it's algorithmic. His miracles, whether on a Brazilian child's pancreas or a Costa Rican woman's cranium, are not abstract. They are medically documented, scrutinized by Vatican panels, and then liturgically elevated. Now consider the larger backdrop. Just as the canonization of a 21st century saint is paused, there are murmurs in Rome of another momentous revival. The next pope may journey to Iznik, once known as Nicaea, the birthplace of the Nicene Creed in 325 AD, in May. And you see, while the site today bears little visual trace of the epoch-rendering council, its spiritual resonance is seismic. And I was there the other day. I thought it was sad that there wasn't a plaque commemorating this. The creed it produced, proclaiming belief in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, was a theological unifier after centuries of schism and doctrinal confusion. I had the opportunity to visit Iznik, and what struck me most was not its modern, unassuming quietness, its wonderful bread, but the church's profound absence there. There's no vast basilica. There is a basilica, but no gleaming iconostasis. It's been turned into a mosque, but no plaques, no curated visitor experience. One of the foundational moments of Christianity lies practically invisible. There is a record on the plaque of the Seventh Ecumenical Council, which took place in the basilica, which is standing, and perhaps that's precisely why the next pope must go there, to reassert the continuity of creed in a fragmented age, to celebrate the bond between Christianity and Islam, between Catholicism and Orthodoxy, to place the Nicene profession of faith back in the foreground of global Catholic identity. It would be a gesture of extraordinary symbolism, a pilgrimage of theological repair and ecumenical diplomacy, where Acutis digitized the Mysterium Fidei, a papal return to Nicaea would affirm its ontological foundation. The Church, in her paradox, stands at both altars, the server rack and the sanctuary, and both Acutis and Nicaea serve as bookends of that continuum. One speaks of the soul of the TikTok generation, the other to the very bones of doctrinal orthodoxy. So what are we to make of this moment? On the one hand, we mourn the pause. Carlos' Canonization, which would have sanctified not just a person but a platform, is deferred. The teenage saint in waiting must now remain a blessed a little longer. But on the other hand, we might reflect saints do not ascend by calendar, they ascend by communion, by the witness of the people. And Acutis is already a lodestar for thousands. In parallel, the next pope's potential visit to Iznik may offer a poignant symmetry, a recommitment to creed as well as charisma, to doctrinal spine as well as digital reach. And so we need to watch the white smoke not only with expectation of a new pontiff, but with a theological eye. Will this papacy canonize the cloud saint and walk among the ruins of Nicaea? Will it speak to our age not only by embracing the young, but reminding us of the old and of the God who is the same yesterday, today, and forever? Carlos' canonization will come. Nicaea may rise again in ecclesial consciousness, but for now we live in the pause, and perhaps the pause is holy as well.